Amitabh Bachchan, a legend who inspired generations, broke new grounds, and became a role model, creating positive change in the world around him. On an evening inspired by the vision of John Walker and Sons, the stage was set to honor the remarkable spirit of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan.
We are privileged to honor Mr. Amitabh Bachchan as the John Walker and Sons Game Changer of the Century.
So, ladies and gentlemen, on your behalf, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. Bachchan on stage to accept the John Walker and Sons Game Changer of the Century trophy.
Followed by the felicitation, Mr. Bachchan opened up to Arnab Goswami on his remarkable journey to immaculate success.
Thank you, Mr. Bachchan. Thank you, everyone, for coming here. Every time I speak to you, Mr. Bachchan, we've done about 4 interviews in the past. And I get bored very easily, but I never get bored speaking to you. I always carry something new each time I speak to you. And that goes beyond cinema. It's more to do with your philosophy of life. Are you aware, Mr. Bachchan, that today you inspire so many people just by being the way you are and having achieved so much?
I really don't know what I'm doing that is inspiring people, but if you're saying so, then I would like to believe that something good is happening. I haven't deliberately gone out trying to make an effort to do things the right way. We're all human beings and we make mistakes, and we have our faults and we have our shortcomings. But if there is something that is working, I think it's the grace of God, the blessings of my parents, and the love and affection that I've always received from the people of this country, who've always stood by me and given me a lot of their time and attention through the many years that I've been in the public life, so to say.
Let me look at 5 things today. This audience would define you as a game changer in many different ways. I would like you to look at 5 things, 5 reasons I believe you're a game changer. The first thing is about breaking new ground. A game changer breaks ground, and you did that when you became the angry young man. At that time, everyone was, the people who were the stars were the romantic pin-up boys. You accepted an unconventional role, and you broke new ground. What are you worried? What would happen if you were not to break new ground with that role?
Well, I actually was a struggling actor looking for a job, and this is the job that came my way, so I just took it. But I never realized that I was going to be doing something exceptional or something different, or something that is going to change the way cinema is going to be looked at. Zanjeer, in a sense, was, of course, extremely helpful for me because it became a success amongst many unsuccessful ventures that I'd done earlier on. And it was indeed the very last film that I had on my schedule. If I had failed in Zanjeer, then perhaps I would have had to go back to where I came from.
Were you aware that you were changing the game?
Not at all. I was aware that, my kitchen would run the next day.
A game changer also has a great range. Now, a lot of people criticized you. Initially, they said, why is Amitabh Bachchan playing a role where he's a 64-year-old romancing a 34-year-old? And that was in Chinikam. Then there was Nishant, where you were romancing your daughter's friend. That is not accepted in India. You would have faced some criticism for it. Now, besides, if I look at Bhagwan, Chinikam, and Nishabd, You're romancing women of 3 different generations. Besides that, you were actually romancing women of 3 different generations. But besides that, when you were taking that risk, were you aware of the criticism you would face?
I can't say about the other artists. I can only talk about myself, and I feel that if there is a role which is challenging enough and it is going to challenge my creativity, I would accept it, irrespective of what effect it would have on the audience or what they were thinking about me. I've never really thought about that. I have never consciously looked upon a role as being something that I needed to do because my identity in the audience would either, enlarge or diminish. I'm very happy that I did these films because I never looked at the idea of wanting to create an impression. I just felt that Bagban was a film which talked about family values, which talked about elders being looked after.
I thought that there's a lot of thinking that some stars do about, I'm sure you don't, about which audience is going to like what. Like there's a lot of people out there in the audience who would have loved Bagban because it fits in with Indian family values. Now, Nishabt, on the other hand, completely breaks down the conventional thinking of a relationship. Now, these are 2 extremes. And why I think you're a game changer is because you've chosen these extremes. You've taken a risk, haven't you?
I just want to go back to Bagban because there was an incident which was quite inspiring. There was a gentleman in England who went and saw this film at a very late night show at Marble Arch in London. And he called the director of the film as soon as he came out of the theater. And this was at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And he said, sir, you're the director. I just wanted to tell you that I've just seen your film. You don't know me. I live in London. I'm a citizen of England now, but my roots are in India. And due to differences with my father, I haven't seen my father for 25 years. And I want to tell you, I've just seen this film, and I'm going back to my father right now, and I'm going to tell him I'm sorry. I thought that was the effect that the film had on the emotional quotient of the film. But to come back to Nishabt, yes, Nishabt was the story of an elderly man who gets attracted to a young girl who is his daughter's friend. And many people, well, the first thing is that Bagban was a very successful film and Nishabt wasn't. So that just goes to show that that story idea was different in value and therefore not accepted. Many of them didn't even attempt to go into the theater. And as you were saying earlier on, Arnab, they said, what, a 60-year-old guy is going to romance an 18-year-old girl? Amitabh can't do that. That showed the personalized effect that some of the actors have with the audiences, where even if you want to change or do something different, there is a certain image that they carry about you. Yeah. And if you do something different, then they reject you. Yeah. But I feel that for me it was a huge challenge, and I really enjoyed working in that film.
Now, if they reject you, does it make you change your game?
No, it doesn't make me change my game, but perhaps next time if such an offer were to come, I would think about it.
Television was another game changer, Mr. Bachchan, and we've spoken about it before. I want to know whether when you came into television you wanted to be a game changer or whether it was pure necessity, because there is a quote of a blog of yours, I carried it with me. This is what you said. You said, talking about 2000, you wrote this in 2010. You said 10 years ago in the year 2000, when the world was celebrating a new century, I was celebrating my disastrous fortune. There were no films, no money, no company, and a million legal cases. When KBC happened, Mr. Bachchan, you also had a lot of people telling you, don't do TV. TV is a no-go area for a big star. Did you do TV? Why did you do TV despite the advice you got at that point of time in 2000? Because it's huge risk.
Yeah, a lot of that has got to do, of course, with my circumstances at that point of time. As you rightly say, there were many disasters that happened, but rather than cow down to it, I just felt, what is it that I can do? Okay, I can't do business, I can't run a company, my films are not doing well, what should I do? And I just felt that if I'm an actor, I should, continue acting in whatever capacity. It's a very difficult decision to make for an actor when he is past his prime, when he's no longer playing the leading man, and there are no producers that have interest in you. You can either redeem yourself by playing lesser characters, which are more character-oriented, or just retire and sit at home. I couldn't do the latter because of my circumstances. When television came, everyone said, you are reducing yourself from 70mm screen to a 25-inch screen, and that's, like committing harakiri. But as I said, my circumstances were such that anything that was coming my way, I was happy to accept it. It's just fortunate that something that I did, I began to enjoy as well. I love the idea of meeting contestants across the hot seat, knowing about their lives, knowing about their conditions, their circumstances, and in some manner, in some very small manner, be able to assist them in perhaps changing their life by giving them an opportunity to win a lot of money. I never thought that this would be such a big success, and I still don't. I'm now in its 12th year and still hosting the game show. Just a couple of days back, I completed 500 episodes of it. And I guess if they ask me to carry on, if they ask me to carry on, I shall continue to work in that.
You feel you inspire people when somebody's sitting next to you, you look at them in the eye, you hear their personal stories. And they say the thrill is of meeting you. A lot of people on the phone, the way they react.
I think that they're just being polite about it.
I don't think so.
But really, with the hope perhaps that, I'm going to throw a nice question which they can answer. But I feel that truly they are the ones that, come with a hope and expectation that their life will change. In many ways, I look upon KBC and Kaun Banega Crorepati as a life-changing experience. That truly is the game changer, because the contestants come from terrible backgrounds and with a lot of hope and expectation.
Mr. Bachchan, a game changer is also resilient through ups and downs. And then when you look back, you say that my bad experiences will set the stage for something else. You launched ABCL. You had a huge, ambitious plan. You were India's first corporate movie-making company. And from 96 to 99, the graph went down. Till 99, it was disaster. You were followed by creditors. You've written about it. You've been frank about it. I just want to know that when your career was taking off again, you need not have started AB Corp again. In 2001 or 2002, in that period, you started it again. Then in 2009, one of your best performances in power was with the AB Corp banner. Do you look upon yourself as a game changer through the process of forming a company? And do the experiences in the initial years, how do you look upon the experiences of the initial years? Do you feel you're a pioneer who needed to have gone through what you went through with AB Corp and ABCL?
The idea of corporatizing the Indian film industry actually came to me from the United States of America. During my various trips there, which were purely on a holiday, I used to keep getting letters from various corporate companies, Warner's, Sony, wanting to meet. And I was wondering why they would want to meet, you know, an insignificant person like me, because they're these big corporations. But I did, in fact, go across and meet them once, and I was shocked to find that they had a complete research on what the Indian film industry is about, who I was, what I'd done, and not just me, every other person connected with cinema in India. And I came back to my lawyer friend who was living in New York and said, you know, I was really surprised to see this. And he said, Mr. Bachchan, I would advise you to go back to India and start a corporation because the Americans are coming.
When was this?
This was in 93, 94.
93, 94.
And I just felt that because the Indian cinema and the Indian film industry has always been a very mama-papa kind of a organization, we needed to have some kind of an accountability. We needed to put things in order. And that was really what the intention was. But never having done business earlier on, I was not accomplished enough to run a company. And yes, we faced a lot of problems and disaster. I just felt that a corporation that bore my father's name, I would not allow to die. And that was the main intention why I wanted it to survive. So I worked hard at it. Fortunately, KBC came at the same time, and I was able to take care of all my creditors, paid back everybody, actually went to their homes personally and said that, you know, I owe you money and here it is. I felt good about that. And once we were free of all our creditors and debts, we started off again very small, and I'm happy that we are existing.
Would you say you're the game changer? I think you're the game changer for the Indian film industry. In that sense, Mr. Bachchan. Go on, don't underplay yourself again. You are.
It's very difficult to be at a function like this where the theme is the game changer and not talk about it.
You know I'm not. You know I'm not known to flatter people.
Yes, I know.
mean it.
But if you look upon it that way, Arnab, I will believe you, and
Thank you.
I shall thank you for your kind words. But I've never thought about that in that manner.
Well, Mr. Bachchan, you push yourself. You know, when you relaunch, I think you were 58 or 59, Mohabbat, and then Aks, and you know, Black. Your best performances have happened in your 60s. I think that's why you're the greatest game changer. My question to you is, what keeps you pushing yourself?
Firstly, I think the leading men of the Indian film industry have a very limited scope for performance because they're leading men. They either fall in love with the leading lady or find some kind of an obstruction there and eventually win her over and ride off into the sunshine. That's it. But for character roles, you know, there is a lot more variety. We get to play a 13-year-old progerious, stricken child, or an alcoholic professor who teaches blind and deaf students. There's a lot of variety. And I think that these are very interesting phases for any actor at this stage of his life. To say that I've been pushing myself, I don't know. I just feel that I read somewhere that the human uses just 33% of his brain in an entire lifetime. I'm just trying to make it 34.
Mr. Bachchan, I want to thank you for your time. Truly a game changer for the century. Let's have a round of applause for Mr. Bachchan. Thank you very much.
Next week on The Game Changers, we bring you a visionary and a director par excellence, Shekhar Kapoor.
I've never really imagined myself as a game changer. I've never paused. I've never thought about it. You know, you define yourself, you confine yourself. And life is all about not confining or defining yourself.